Well, hey everybody, Brad here again. It's been a long time, sorry, about at least 5 weeks now, I think. So apologize for that. Work has been a little crazy since after Christmas, so I'm not traveling anymore, at least for the next little while, and which means I can get back to enjoying this lovely winter freaking squall that we're stuck with here in Canada, where I live, and certainly elsewhere across the continent and even across the globe. So hey, yeah, welcome to winter. It is almost, well, it's the 18th of February now, so isn't that nice, but still freaking cold outside. So it's actually had an impact on my car. Nothing too terrible, but it has brought to light a few other things that I need to pay attention to, for how I'm going to handle using this car in like what I would call substantially bloody ass freezing weather. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. And also, if your infotainment screen has happened to freeze like mine has more than once, I'm going to show you how to reboot that. So if any of that stuff is of interest to you folks, I really hope you stick around. And as always, I love every like that you might send my way. And I'm creeping up on the subscribers now. I'm getting, well, I won't say I'm getting close to anything too exciting, but I'd love it if you guys would throw me a subscribe. That would really help me out. So thanks for that, and let's get down to business. So, as you probably can hear from the sound under my tires, it's a blistering minus whatever the hell it's going to get to, and you can see the temperature on the dash here is dropping. Oops, pretty quickly. It's about -4 in my garage, Celsius, of course. Oops, slide around a little. -10, and you'll notice it's in EV mode. You'll notice I've got half a charge and about 4 bars of fuel. Pay also attention to the bottom where the trip A is just turned 444 kilometers. That is the first time I've actually used that to track fuel economy, because as the temperature gets down here, -14, -15 seems to be the trigger, the gas motor is going to kick on, and it will stay on until I park the thing, or if it happens to warm up at all. -15, okay, it's making a liar out of me, but it did just come out of my nice warm garage. So honestly though, it's it's a great car. I'll always say I love it, but unfortunately in this really cold weather, the gas motor almost will never stay off, which of course I regret, because the whole point of buying this car for me, among the fuel economy, was to keep the was certainly, whoa, slide a little, that's fun, was to certainly keep the wear off of the gas motor. So as I say, it's continuing to make a liar out of me here. -17 now. Let's see how it goes. We'll keep the camera rolling here so we get a good sense of what's going on. But otherwise, 445 kilometers on, call it just over 3/4 of a tank of gas. Again, it's such a tiny tank. It's probably going to hit me, put me straight on about 5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty typical for a plug-in hybrid, which is fantastic for any car. But again, the whole point of this car for me was to drive it almost exclusively on electricity. So yeah, it's continuing to make a liar out of me. So let's do this again. We'll pause here and we'll catch this back up in a minute. Thanks, guys. Hi folks, we're back in the car here now. So look at those crappy roads. This thing's kind of fun actually, even though it's a front drive car. I can get the tail to come around a little bit, which I won't do now because I'm trying to drive and make a video here. So this thing's in eco mode. You can see the little flower plant thing up above the D there. Again, I got enough charge. This thing should not be running the gas motor, but unfortunately you can see that it is. The EV is not showing up under the ready, and the little white line there on the makeshift tachometer thing is obviously illuminated, indicating that it's running the gas motor. So again, -19 Celsius. This is pretty typical. Unfortunately, in the last 6 weeks or so, we've had some pretty crappy weather, certainly in North America here. And what we end up with, unfortunately, is this thing just doesn't seem to be able to cope running on just the electric motor in this type of temperature. So regrettably, one of the downfalls, or one of the, I'm going to call it a negative for what it is. Yeah, it's asking a lot of a 17 kilowatt car, plug-in car, I guess. But my hope for all of this was, even if I have to charge it more frequently, that I could still maintain running only in EV mode. But you can even hear the motor on if I actually shut up long enough for you to notice. But yeah, no matter what I do, in this situation if it's minus 14, minus 15, especially if it's cold in the garage. You know, I have an insulated garage, but I don't always turn the furnace on because, you know, just keep it warm overnight doesn't make sense. So that's a drawback again. And if you'll notice below, I've got the trip A set for when I filled the car up with gas, regrettably, which I did. This is my 10th tank. Unfortunately, I've gone through almost 2 complete tanks in the last 800 kilometers simply because it's been so damn cold that the gas motor's on all the time. So, but 447 now, almost 448 kilometers on, you know, call it just over 3/4 of a tank. That'll put me pretty square in around the probably the 5 liters per 100 kilometers range, which is, again, that's amazing for a car this size, a car this fast, a car this comfortable, etc., etc. But, you know, it is a disappointment again because my whole premise of buying this car was to run it on electric only. Again, I feel like I'm pushing it in this temperature, but you know, that was my hope. And oddly, this is another behavior. You see that even though the EV is on, the white line in the tachometer area is still there, which you know, usually goes away. See, it's gone now. The EV's gone now because it's there, and that surprises me because I always thought it was only indicative that the gas motor was on. So yeah, here we go. Anyway, one minor drawback. Yeah, you know, sure, it stinks. Again, I guess I just have to get used to that. But you know, all in all, I mean, don't get me wrong. As I said, or as I will say in the title of this video, if you saw it, I'm at 20,000 kilometers now. I'm coming up on 1 full year of ownership. 10 tanks of gas. I mean, this is still crazy, crazy efficient, zero cost, frankly, for maintenance other than the oil change, which I did myself. You know, it was no problem at all. Watch my video on that too if you actually care. You know, the first service calls for that and a tire rotation. Well, I just put the winter tires on, so I didn't have to do that. And it did call for a brake inspection, but while I had the thing off, obviously I had to look at the brake pads, and given that you can regen this thing, you hardly ever touch the brakes anyway. So all in all, 1 year, 20,000 K, 10 tanks of gas and 1 oil change that cost me about, what did I pay? 60, 70 bucks for the filter and then synthetic fuel. So otherwise, this thing is, honestly, it's fantastic. You can hear how quiet it is. It's lasted a long time, or it hasn't cost me any money. It's a great car for what it is. No, it's not super fast, but it acquits itself really well. If you run in sport mode, you know, you can pass people on the highway real easy. Tons of space in it. All the positives that you've heard me go on and on about in my previous videos, so I won't repeat myself here. But you know, if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen those videos and you only want to listen to this one, well, if you're thinking about one of these things, no drawbacks so far after 1 full year almost, and almost 20,000 kilometers. There's nothing that I can see about this car that would prohibit me from buying it again, or regretting that I bought it, or anything like that. And the fact that the fuel economy and the low maintenance is there is just gravy on top. So anyway, that's that. And then once I pull over into my garage, what I'm going to show you folks is how to reboot your screen here, because it's happened to me a couple of times in and out of my Apple CarPlay because I plug my phone in. It'll sometimes hang, freeze, etc., etc. I wonder. So here we are back in the car, and again, I've had a few issues with the screen freezing on me. It happens when I unplug my iPhone, you know, when it's running Apple CarPlay. Sometimes it hangs up, and sometimes it just acts a little strange. So I've only had to reboot it once, but I couldn't find anything online immediately to show me how to do that. So it's all obviously working fine now, but just to demonstrate, I'll do it once more. So again, if this nav infotainment screen freezes on you and you want to reboot it, this is how you do it. It's really simple. You push and hold the audio button. Watch it make a liar out of me. 1, 2, 3. There you go. See, want to reboot? You just hit yes, and that's all it does. It goes through the whole splash screen with the Honda thing on it, which again, if it doesn't do it, it'll make a liar out of me. Here we go, just so you can actually see what happens, so it's no surprise. Any day now. There we go. See, coming back on. There we go. See, it's coming back up. Everything will be the same way. The time will get reset. The nav will figure itself out where it is in the world, etc., etc. So honestly, that's simple, and it saved me a lot of headache because this damn thing is hung up. A friend of mine who has a Honda Accord with the same screen actually had to have his replaced, so I was worried that when mine hung up, it was the same issue, but no, it was not. So lucky for me, lucky for you guys too. If you have this issue, just push the button and reboot it, and it's all good. Well, there you have it, folks. That's what I would call a reasonable assessment of how my Honda Clarity actually handles the minus 20 and below-ish temperatures. Obviously, as you've seen, it does have an impact. So do consider that if you live in a northern climate like I do and you're looking to purchase one of these things. Now, it's not unique to the Clarity. I would have a hard time thinking that it didn't affect all other battery-operated cars, battery-powered, of course, hybrid or otherwise. I'm sure the Teslas have the same issue. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's well documented. So don't let that shy away, though. Again, I love the car for all the other reasons. This is just a minor annoyance, really. Again, I was really hoping to keep the gas motor off as much as possible, which I will still continue to do, but I regret that it's, you know, for the 2 or 3 weeks of the year typically that we have this kind of weather, I was still hoping I could run mostly on battery. So anyway, that and, you know, my discovery of how to reboot your infotainment screen, I hope that was of some use to you folks as well, because that was a bit of a pain in my butt for a couple days there, so I was pleased that I could figure out a way to do that. So anyway, if you've made it this far, as I always say, I really appreciate all the watch time, all the likes, all the subscribes, and you know, I'd like to have a special shout out to my awesome cousin Lori, who unbeknownst to her stumbled across my videos because her and her partner just happened to buy a Clarity as well. So thanks for that, Laura. Hope you enjoy the car as much as I do. Anyway, folks, that's the end of this one. Stay tuned, though. My next video will be again very cold weather related. How to warm the car up with the what would normally be an auto start feature, but in our the Clarity's case, it's a auto climate control with the key fob and of course with the app. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. You'll see it shortly, and probably next week or so. Thanks.